Jason and Al, well, you must be feeling up and about. 9 winners last week, and you're looking to go back-to-back this week, but I'm right on your heels, aren't I? I'm sure. Let's not have a look at the board just yet, but before we do, there's a couple of games we need to explore. So Jason Horne-Francis up against his old club, the Kangaroos. The AFL, well, they've scheduled this beautifully in Hobart, so there's limited booing for the young man, Chief. It's an interesting game, though, isn't it? Coming up against his old team, which didn't leave on great terms.
Just before we get into it, can I just say at least we're a chance of going back-to-back because our tips are slightly different to Dicko's. So I know we're still alive for the 9 this week. I've got no problem with the North fans booing Jason Horne-Francis. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. People are passionate about this game and they love the players when they play for them and they boo them when they play against them. That is completely normal. That happens to every player that leaves a club. So let's not get too up in arms about it. I worry when other clubs start booing just for the sake of booing, but certainly when you play against your old club, there is nothing wrong with being booed. As long as it's done in the right way, I've got no problem with that.
You think he's handled it well?
Well, he's playing well this year, Horne-Francis, so I guess that's all he can really come out and do. It'll be interesting to see what the reception is like in Hobart. But his numbers aren't hugely different from last year. A couple of extra touches a game, but where he's really sort of stepping up is in the clearances. He's clearly Port's number 1 clearance player and clearly their number 1 centre clearance player. So he's having an impact over there. But the other stat that jumps out for him is he's also given away the most free kicks of any player in the comp. So that might be something that the North players try and get out of him.
Al, do you expect the same tactics from Clarko? Last week against the Saints, he just strangled them as best he could to give his team every chance. But coming up against the Saints, like last week, as opposed to the Power this week, they've got more firepower. So how do you see it play out?
Yeah, I mean, last week's game, I think did that even happen? We just pretend...
That didn't happen. I was there. It didn't happen. No, exactly.
It was one of the worst I've seen for a while. But, I mean, Port has been... as you say, they've got the firepower in attack. Their issue has been actually, getting it through the goals. They kicked, I think, 12-20 last week. They've had the 3rd worst accuracy in the comp, so that's something they need to tidy up. But if they can, I think they could put on a big score.
If they can't get a hold of Port's midfield, they're going to be in real trouble. North.
Yeah.
I mean, if Rosie and Butters and Horne-Francis and Wines, who's been a little bit down, I think, for a few weeks, if they can't control this Port midfield, it could really get away from them quickly.
And Butters, just on Zach Butters, sneaking under the radar maybe a little bit. He's had 5 games in a row over 25 touches, so he's going pretty well. All
right, Chief, the Hawks face the Demons, MCG on Saturday. You're doing this one because you're still after that number 1 draft pick. All right, are they a chance to beat the line at least? Because we know they're up against the powerhouse, but 40.5 minus.
It's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? It's a decent line. They're doing really well from clearances, Hawthorn, but they're not transferring that into scores. So scores from clearances become a really important statistic, and unfortunately, they're winning the ball. They've got some great inside players. John Newcombe, we know how good he is, and they're really good around the stoppages, but they've got to find a way to transfer that into scores. It's going to help having Mitch Lewis back. How good was he first week back? The more games he gets under his belt, he's going to be better, but they're coming up against a pretty good team, so it's hard to make a strong case for them.
Yeah, you mentioned John Newcombe. He's had 3 games in a row over 25 touches, so he's really found some form in the midfield there. But he's coming up against the likes of Petrarca, Oliver. Here's a stat for Clayton Oliver. He's had 28 or more touches in his last 25 Saturday games, and he's averaging 33 this year, career high.
All right, now you blokes have been into me all year about Carlton. The Dockers beating the Swans. SCG, do you give them a hope to beating the Swans?
You have to. You have to.
You just said the form of the Swans has been horrible.
Yes.
How's Freo going?
Yeah, well, I mean, they can play okay. So this one was always a tough one to tip too.
It is. They're both going average, aren't they? So
you were going to say something else.
No. I'm just... Freo will get a little bit of confidence at least from a good win over Hawthorn. So maybe that will help them turn the corner. But again, some of these games, it's just home ground advantage for me.
Yeah, Dockers have lost their past 6 in New South Wales, so they don't like going up there. And Jake Lloyd, talking of players who are getting 25 touches, he's had 25 or more in his last 7 games against Freo. So he's having a pretty good year as well.
All right, well, I'm going with the Swans there, so I was just winding you blokes up. All right, let's have a look at the full round of tips. And Al, No surprise here, mate. You're well in front. You're playing it safe this weekend. Would you get off the fence, your letterbox, and cause an upset or here? Jason, you're gone with the same tips as well, so you're just sticking with that. Any chance of going any different?
Mate, I just put my tips in. That's all I do. All I know is I'm not coming last.
Okay. Well, I'm going with the Blues, so I'm expecting them to turn around on Saturday night. That's our show for Mother's Day weekend. Al, Jace, outstanding work from you guys. Make sure you subscribe below and follow us on socials, and we'll be back next week for Fox Sports Lab AFL.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. Your chances are you're about to lose.